Welcome to Coffee to Go, where we center ourselves in the scriptures, seasons, and holy days of the Christian tradition. I'm Karin Peter here with Blake Smith, and we welcome you on the journey. So we are still in ordinary time, which is approximately 30 Sundays, and it goes from Pentecost to the end of the Christian year, which is usually the last Sunday in November or the first in December, when Advent begins a new cycle. So this week we are still in the Old Testament. We're on the second installment of our narrative from the Old Testament. We were with Jacob last week, and this week we are with Jacob's sons. So Blake, what's going on?
Right. Well, we're going to be in the 37th chapter of Genesis this week, and it is the 1st through the 4th verse and the 12th through the 28th verse. Jacob settled in the land where his father had lived as an alien, the land of Canaan. These are the descendants of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was shepherding the flocks with his brothers, and he was a helper to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him an ornamented robe. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably of him. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." He answered, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring word back to me." So he sent him to the valley of Hebron. He came to Shechem, and a man found him wandering in the fields. The man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock." The man said, "They have gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams." But when Reuben heard it, he delivered him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to his father." So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornamented robe that he wore, and they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty. There was no water in it. Then they sat down to eat, and looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, with their camels carrying gum, balm, and resin, on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and lay not our hands on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers agreed. When some Midianite traders passed by, they drew Joseph up, lifting him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt. Jacob loves Joseph, who is his youngest son, the most. They make that pretty clear. And he gives Joseph the beautiful multicolored robe. And I could start singing songs from the great musical Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which I absolutely enjoyed, and I like the music too. And I actually got to see it with Donny Osmond playing Joseph. So
lucky.
Yeah, I didn't know how lucky I was, but my wife and my sister-in-law who went with me have told me many times. But maybe you remember it from that, or hearing Dolly Parton sing about many colors.
I think she had a song called "The Coat of Many Colors."
Yeah. So I think that the story is remembered more for the coat sometimes than all that took place. But we're going to spend a little time with some of the things that took place. The brothers are tired of his favoritism and selling to a passing caravan.
Okay, but Blake, when you were reading, a couple of things stood out to me that I hadn't thought of before. So
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
I'm gonna toss them back to you, and you can see what you think. First off, Joseph tattled. So
Yeah.
it's sad. He was with his brothers and he took back a bad report of them to his father. It's like, what? I mean, no, his dad obviously sent him out to spy on his brothers, but that isn't the point. The point is, I can see where that would cause some unrest in a family, especially and this is what I'd never really thought of before. This is like the Old Testament version of a blended family. I mean, they had multiple wives, and so he had children with multiple wives. They all lived together. They all worked together. And it makes sense that there would be bad feelings at times, depending on which part of the family you were from and how your mother was treated or experienced this family. I mean, there are all kinds of issues in our own blended families nowadays that we know cause havoc in relationships. So, this is a similar kind of deal. So it made me it's not like, oh, I can see why the brothers did this. No, that's not what I'm saying. But in a way, it's like, okay, this wasn't completely the brothers are evil and Joseph was good. You know what I mean? There's complicated relationships here.
Yeah, I absolutely. And I'll go so far as to say, yeah, I think maybe, he was just kind of a smart aleck upstart kid, who was daddy's spy. And that wouldn't, I know where I grew up, that wouldn't be taken well. So
Yeah.
um, did he deserve it? Maybe a little time in the pit, but I don't know about the rest of it. But yeah, he was
Time in the
not
pit.
well
Jeez,
liked.
Blake.
I I'm just saying that from personal experience because I was probably the young upstart smart aleck kid and who would have told my mother on my brother and
Yes,
he would
yes,
quickly have put me in the pit and I probably
yes,
deserved it a few times.
yes.
But
I
so
think
why
it's
does this
called the
matter?
timeout chair now, Blake. I'm pretty sure that's
Oh,
what
yeah,
that's called.
yeah. No, we didn't have timeouts back then, back in the day. I don't know how I survived actually. Oh my goodness. That's another podcast for another day. So why does this matter? Well, one, as you mentioned last week when we started talking about this thread that flows through the story and when we can kind of see it as it progresses, it's the part of the storyline that gets us to Egypt. And we're going to talk about that even more next week as we go through this. But remember that connection between the stories. Um, Second, there's another little clue there, and I had to think about it a minute. But did you hear the connection through the betrayal for 20 pieces of silver?
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Reminded me immediately.
yeah, so Jesus was betrayed for pieces of silver. He was a little bit more valuable, apparently, because he brought 30 pieces of
Oh,
silver.
inflation.
But the important thing here is that those who were hearing and reading the story of the Jews would have automatically made this
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
And so, again, that thread that flows through. So, this is a scene of betrayal. Jesus receives the ornamented robe.
Joseph receives.
Who did I say? Jesus?
Jesus. Jesus. Yeah.
Well, Jesus should have had one too.
Probably.
It's another one of those J words. Yes, absolutely. So, as Karin said, Joseph received the ornamented robe. I think when his brothers took it away, they put it in a package for Jesus. I'm just going to stick with that. I don't know. But anyway, this was a way of lifting him up as the exalted son. I mean, he stood, you can imagine, certainly if you've seen the play, but it would stand out. And I think it would have served as an additional wedge. It's one thing when you tattle and your brothers know that and everything, but when it's like put on display that you are something special, that really makes it even more difficult. So this is a lifting him up. But then you turn through the story, and the brothers, the first thing they do is strip him of his robe. And so they are taking him down a notch. We would talk about it that way where I grew up, but they throw him down into the pit. So it's a rising and a falling. The reality is that there are two injustices in this story. The imagery of the story evokes joy and sorrow, but it also illuminates injustice on the part of the brothers whose actions are not acceptable. But there's also the injustice of Jacob's favoritism for Joseph. And we believe in a God who does not show favoritism. And so we can, in a sense, then call that an injustice and something to just be aware of. I think, you mentioned when I finished reading about how you can kind of look at that and go, well, he might have deserved that. And often we don't. I think we've talked about it before in other episodes where when some tragedy happens, we obviously come to the defense of the victim in the tragedy, but sometimes there may have been something that precipitated it. I'm not saying they deserved it or it was the right thing to do, but sometimes there's a cause for the effect that happens. Anyway.
Well, I think also, Blake, it helps us remember that these recorded stories are people trying to record the human experience, and none of us are completely good or completely bad. That's just the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who hasn't had the idea of throwing somebody in a pit in their life? Maybe just thought about it. Anyway.
I will now.
I'm not giving you permission. All right. Well, how about some questions? How about we move on and get to some questions before I get in trouble? Here's some questions for us to consider this week. When have I felt lifted up? And do I lift up others? The opposite of that would be, when have I felt thrown down? And do I put others down? And then finally, do I show favoritism? And if so, is it harmful or harmless?
That's a tough question there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can we kind of experience this scripture this week that gets us to probably the point that's helpful in our own context, which is the lifting up and putting down? And I think there are lots of different practices we could use to kind of cement that in our brain. But I think maybe if we can just, and we've done this many times at the end, it's an end of the day experience. When you think about today, who did I lift up? Today, who did I put down? And as you go through this week, try to increase the ups and reduce the downs on your evening list. And maybe that'll help us this week kind of bring the uplifting others solidly into our perspective.
Well, speaking of the downside, our blessing today is called Rock Bottom, and it comes from Rage Prayers and was written by Elizabeth Ashman Riley. The ground is hard, and I absolutely do not want to be here. Finding myself in this place consumes me with shame, and I desperately want to turn away from what lies at the bottom of myself. My only gratitude is that maybe this is the end of my falling, and it cannot get worse. This is it. Holy One, you see all of me, every fault, every misstep. You love me in every form. Love me here in this hard place. Love me here while I cannot love myself, so that I might learn how. Teach me to stand again. Show me beyond this moment my worth and wholeness. Amen. Well, thanks for being with us here at Coffee to Go. We invite you to join us here at Coffee to Go again next time for the next part of our journey through the liturgical seasons and holy days of the Christian tradition.